You walk into Binion's Horseshoe with $777,000 in one suitcase and nothing in the other. Your name is William Lee Bergstrom, but by the time this night is over, Vegas will know you by another name, the Phantom Gambler. That legend hasn't been born yet. Right now, you're just a quiet man in cowboy boots carrying enough cash to make a banker sit up straight and mind his posture. The full suitcase does the talking. The empty one waits for an answer. It came in hollow, but by sundown, it will either carry a fortune or it won't matter anymore. Cards snap in the distance. Slot machines chatter. Somewhere nearby, a drunk laughs too loud at a joke that probably wasn't worth the effort. As you move through the casino, the sound starts thinning out behind you. Men keep their eyes on their chips and fail at it. Dealers keep their hands moving, careful as church ladies handling hot grease. But the only thing that rings in your mind is $777,000. 3 sevens stacked together like a sign from heaven or a trap with nice handwriting. This is downtown Las Vegas, back when Glitter Gulch still had a little devil in its grin and dirt under its nails. Neon buzzing, smoke hanging low, carpet holding every bad decision ever dropped on it. The city has not softened into fountains and polished resort floors yet. Down here, Vegas still has sharp elbows and a habit of bumping into men already off balance. A man can walk in looking haunted, and nobody will ask too many questions as long as the money looks real and stacks politely. And yours does, so you know you came to the right place. Binion's is built for wagers like yours that most Vegas casinos cross the street to avoid. Binion keeps $1 million on display inside a giant plastic horseshoe, cash sitting under glass like a dare waiting on the right fool to wander by. Tourists smile at it. Gamblers study it like it might whisper back. A fortune in public has a way of calling to certain men, and you've been listening to the whispers. So on September 24th, 1980, you find Benny Binion inside the horseshoe and tell him what you want. One $777,000 bet on a roll of the dice. Every last dollar on the don't pass line. That request would make most casino men start sweating through the expensive part of their shirt. At the horseshoe, it sounds like business. If you have the money, they'll book the bet. So the cash comes out. Bundles, stacks, weight. The suitcase opens, and $777,000 becomes real to everybody standing close enough to see it. Counting it takes time. The casino floor keeps moving, but your little patch of it slows down. Hands separate bills. Eyes check totals. Chips begin replacing paper. One fortune changes shape right there in front of you, turning from something a bank understands into something dice can eat. Then you take the chips to the craps table. You put all of them on the don't pass line. That side of the table has a chill to it. A man can stand there legally, and it will still feel rude. Most folks at craps ride with the shooter. They holler for him, slap the rail, call the dice baby like dice ever gets sentimental. You stand against him, against the table, against all that noise. If his roll goes bad, you win. You watch as the shooter takes the dice. They leave his hand and tumble down the felt. A point is set. 6. That becomes his number. Now the whole bet has a road. He has to roll another 6 before a 7 shows up. If he does, your suitcase stays empty. If 7 comes first, the suitcase feels heavy enough to pull your shoulder loose. Simple, cruel, just enough rules for fate to hide behind. The shooter rolls again. Dice bounce, settle. The table holds. Another roll. The red cubes jump, kiss the felt, and stop. 7. The don't pass wins. Just like that, your $777,000 turns into $1,500,000 $54,000. A lifetime of money changes hands in the time it takes 2 dice to quit moving. The table reacts before you do. Chips slide your way. Men lean closer. Somebody lets out one sharp sound and swallows the rest. Ted Binion, Benny Binion's son, helps stack the winnings into your other suitcase. It is empty no longer. You don't celebrate. You don't strut around the table waiting for the room to crown you king. You close the suitcase, take the money, and walk out. By the time Binion's catches its breath, you're already becoming a story. The newspapers don't have your name. The gamblers don't have your reasons. And Vegas hates a blank space the way a preacher hates a quiet sinner, so it gives you a mask. The Phantom Gambler. The name runs through downtown faster than a rumor with fresh legs. Dealers tell it on slow shifts. Pit bosses pass it around like contraband. Every time a story changes hands, the suitcase gets heavier, the room gets quieter, and the man carrying it becomes harder to see. Nobody knows your name yet. They don't need to. The Phantom Gambler is enough. Nearly 4 years pass and the story settles into the walls, becoming a legend of the Felt. A man walked in with $777,000, bet it once, doubled it, and disappeared. Clean, sharp, perfect. Then, on March 24th, 1984, the Phantom returns to haunt the Horseshoe once more. Another suitcase, another walk through Binion's. This time you're risking $538,000. The room understands quicker now. The first visit felt like lightning. The second feels like a man returning to the place lightning struck. The cash becomes chips. The chips go to the don't pass. The shooter takes the dice. You win again. Not by a whisper. Not by some long, grinding fight. The result comes quick, the money moves, and the Phantom Gambler grows teeth. Then you keep playing just long enough to pull another $117,000 from the table. After that, you stop. The table still has breath. You don't. You take the money and start to leave again. That becomes your pattern. Arrive heavy, bet hard, disappear clean. Other gamblers chase. You strike. Other gamblers sit for hours trying to turn luck into friendship, which is a fine way to spend an evening if you enjoy being lied to. You walk in like a man serving papers to fate. The first time, you slipped out with the money and left Vegas chewing on shadows. This time, Ted Binion gets close enough before you can disappear to hear the man behind the legend. The mask slips. Your name is William Lee Bergstrom, still in your early 30s, from Austin, Texas. Apartment buildings made you money. Sevens had a hold on you. Precious metals felt safer than banks. Supplies stayed close because the world always looks thin to you, like it might crack open before breakfast and still expect a man to pay rent by noon. Peculiar obsessions, sure, but Vegas has never shut the door on peculiar when the money walks in first. Then Ted Binion digs deeper, and the first bet gets darker. Much of that $777,000 had been borrowed, and the suitcase carried more than just cash. It had carried the kind of plan a man only makes when he's already halfway gone. If the first roll went wrong, 70 pills were waiting. Now that first walk into Binion's looks different. The boots, the quiet face, the empty suitcase, the calm at the table. The money sat on top of the bet. Under it was the real question, whether you had a road left after the dice stopped. Win, and the suitcase fills. Lose, and your story ends before it has a name. But the first roll saves you. The second return feeds the legend, and a legend can turn hungry once it learns your shape. The money should have put distance between you and Binion's. Instead, the place stays with you. 7, 7, 7. $1 million under glass. A table that already answered twice. a room that remembers how you looked when you beat it. So you build the next suitcase, heavier, stranger, meaner, like trouble learned how to pack itself. Not for $777,000, not for $538,000, for $1,000,000. On November 16th, 1984, you return to Binion's for the third time. The suitcase holds $550,000 in cash, $310,000 in cashier's checks, and $140,000 in gold Krugerrands. Paper, metal, weight, everything gathered into one hard offering. The Horseshoe has seen wild men. It has watched fortunes stagger in drunk and crawl out broke. It has seen oil money, ranch money, mob money, tourist money, money that smelled new and money that looked like it had already survived a gunfight. But this one stops the room. $1,000,000 on one craps decision. Bigger than anything that table has seen. Bigger than any craps bet Vegas has ever had to stare down. At that moment, the biggest craps wager in history. You move to the don't pass again, same side, same silence, same red dice waiting under the lights. But this time, you say you think you are going to lose. You don't say it like a joke. You don't wink at luck. You say it plain, as if the result has already walked in ahead of you and taken a seat. On the come-out roll, a 7 will end it immediately. There will be no long fight, no slow bleed. One throw can take the whole $1,000,000 before the room even knows what to do with the silence. Then the chips go down. The shooter scoops up the dice and gives them one hard shake. They leave his hand hot, skip across the felt, kiss the back wall, and come tumbling home like bad news with boots on. One die lands. The other turns once more, lazy and cruel. Then it stops. 7. The $1,000,000 is gone. All of it. One roll, one breath, one clean cut. The room freezes around the empty space where your money used to be. Chips are pulled away. Checks need signing. Men stare at the table like the felt itself has done something indecent. You stay calm, too calm. Ted Binion later says you sign the check smooth as glass. Then comes the part that sticks worse than the loss. Someone has enchiladas saved for you. Even ruin apparently can come with dinner. So after dropping $1,000,000 on a single roll, you sit down and eat. The room may have expected rage, a broken voice, a man tearing at his own pockets like the money might still be hiding there, but you give them none of that. You eat, you sign, you leave, and for a few days, the calm looks like strength. The legend grows, but the man inside it starts coming apart. Then Austin tells the truth. 5 days later, back at home, you try to kill yourself. Pills, shotguns waiting in the plan. The attempt fails. Your family learns what the casino floor never could. There was heartbreak. A relationship had ended, and somewhere in your mind, the $1,000,000 bet became tied to the pain of losing a lover. The wager had become a language. The dice answered in numbers. Your father sees the cliff clearly enough. He calls Binions and warns them not to take more of your action, but warning signs only work on men still looking for roads. You return to Las Vegas anyway. This time, the suitcases are empty. That changes everything. An empty suitcase after a win looks hopeful. An empty suitcase after ruin looks hungry. You try to pass a $1.3 million cashier's check. It is a forgery. Now the phantom gambler name starts cracking. The room can see the man through it. A man who once walked out doubled now reaches for one more impossible door. A man who once made Vegas whisper now has to force the story to listen. But the Horseshoe only speaks the language of real money. and counterfeit hope has a poor accent. The check fails, the door stays shut, and once it shuts, the legend has nowhere left to run. On February 4th, 1985, a maid opens the door to your room at the Marina Hotel in Las Vegas. The dice are finished with you by then. The pills have done their work. William Lee Bergstrom is gone. The phantom gambler belongs to Vegas now. And Vegas keeps the parts that glitter because those are the ones people repeat. The $777,000 bet, the cowboy boots, the empty suitcase, the $1 million under glass, the don't pass line, the phantom gambler who doubled a fortune and walked out before the room could ask his name. But the rest follows close behind. Borrowed money, 70 pills, a failed attempt in Austin, a father's warning call, a forged check, a hotel room. The legend starts with one roll. The truth keeps rolling after it. You win the first bet and become a ghost. You win again and feed the ghost. You lose $1 million and barely flinch. You come back empty and find the magic gone. That is the whole road. No grand lesson waiting at the end. No final turn of luck. Just a man, a suitcase, a table, and dice too small to carry what he put on them. 7, 7, 7. Numbers you dressed up as fate. One roll changed everything. But in the end, you don't ask to be remembered for the amounts you won. The $777,000 gamble fades behind you. The first suitcase fades with it. Even the night Vegas gave you a ghost's name starts to feel like a warm-up. You asked to be remembered for the $1 million bet, the one you lost. That is the legend you leave behind. Not the man who beat Binions, the phantom gambler who came back with $1 million and let the dice finish the story. There are other gambling stories worth remembering. Some of them even end happily. If you're still here, pull up a chair. The house never closes.